So, a fresh new week has arrived, and here on this channel, that means one thing and one thing only. Every week, I post an episode of this series we do called Your Take Not Mine, where I turn to you, the viewers, to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week, based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video. This week has been somewhat slower than the rest of the off-season, but things are still playing out behind the scenes, and we definitely still have plenty to discuss. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on either the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now. So if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Sad T-Wolves fan, and he says that LaMelo Ball hasn't notably improved at all since his rookie season. He's just gotten more of a green light, so his box score numbers have increased. LaMelo Ball is an electrifying talent that came into the NBA with a massive fan base already established because of the hilarity of the Ball family antics both on and off the court as the three sons rose through the ranks. But after a lot of scrutiny through that journey, LaMelo has proven a lot of his doubters wrong and is unquestionably one of the league's better point guards who already has an All-Star nomination on his resume. That All-Star Game nomination came all the way back in 2022 though, and since then, it could be argued that he has done nothing but regress. So, going back to the original take here, they were a year off with their assertion because LaMelo definitely did take a big leap from year 1 to year 2, but after that, he makes a pretty valid point that LaMelo's not progressing nearly as well as most hoped he would. Sure, when you look at the numbers, you see that LaMelo's All-Star season was actually the year he scored the least amount of points per game out of the last 4 seasons, so the continual increase in scoring output could be argued as a clear sign of improvement, but I can also argue that the only reason that his scoring numbers are shooting up is because every year he comes out jacking up even more shots than he did the last. The year LaMelo was an All-Star, he was taking about 16 shots per game, shooting the ball pretty efficiently, making 43% of his shots and 39% of his threes, which, for the kind of threes that he was taking, is pretty impressive as someone who almost entirely creates his own looks off the dribble. Since then, though, LaMelo has taken an average of 20 shots per game in 2023, 19 shots per game in 2024, and 21 shots per game last season in 2025, which by the way ranked as the second most shots per game in the entire NBA, ranking only behind Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who won the MVP award. And needless to say, the shot quality and efficiency of SGA differs pretty greatly from the looks that LaMelo is getting. LaMelo's efficiency has nosedived as his field goal attempts have risen, coming off of a year where he just shot 40% from the field and 34% from 3. Both of which are below league average numbers. The amount of turnovers that Ball is committing has increased steadily, and he can't prove to be able to stay healthy either. So while LaMelo's talent isn't necessarily in question here, it is a valid concern to think about whether he can actually be someone who can lead a winning team and be reliable enough to make the plays that winners need to be able to make. Because right now, it seems like he's one of the most empty stats guys in the entire NBA. The next take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Baxitron, and he says that the Atlanta Hawks will finish as the 1 seed in the East this year with a new and improved starting lineup that has no holes and a much improved bench unit to supplement that. Any of you that have been consistently watching this channel throughout the offseason know that I am a full-on believer in the Hawks as a breakout team for next season and have been beating that drum constantly, but the 1 seed is a whole other conversation that I'm much more hesitant to buy into. With that being said though, let's dive into this idea more. Trae Young may have his flaws, specifically on the defensive end of the floor, but you'll struggle to find many point guards that can generate as much offense single-handedly as he can. can. Historically, he has proven to be able to carry the Hawks to top 10 rankings on offense in the league most seasons, no matter who he has around him, and any kind of secondary firepower scoring-wise could take this team to dangerously explosive levels. The defensive end will always be what makes or breaks them when it matters most, but I absolutely love the headway that they're making on that end lately. Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, and Onyeka Okongwu are emerging as legitimately elite defensive talents. Zachary Reaves got progressively better and better as his rookie year went on, and I truly believe that Kristaps Porzingis as an addition is not being taken seriously enough by the average basketball fan, because he may not be performing at his peak anymore, but fit-wise, he is exactly what this team needs. At full strength last season through the end of January, the Hawks were also the 13th ranked defense in the league, which is the first time in a while that they've been an above average ranked defense, and with another season of growth and development, plus the presence of Porzingis with his length and versatility as a shot blocker, this team is long and agile, capable of covering for the deficiencies that Trae Young has on defense better than any Hawks team that he has played on to this point, where I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Hawks end up being a top 10 ranked defense next year. Then on offense, they've brought in more shooting to space the floor in Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Luke Kennard. Jalen Johnson will hopefully be able to stay healthier than he did last season so he can continue developing as a playmaker. Zach Reaves seems poised to take a year 2 leap as a shooter, and Trae Young is the best passer that Kristaps Porzingis has ever played with, so that two-man game may end up being one of the best in the whole league. I'll plant my flag firmly in the camp of believers that this team can finish top 4 in the Eastern Conference, getting home court advantage in a first-round series, but that's as far as I'm willing to go at this point in time without seeing what they actually look like on the court yet. There are still a lot of good teams in the East, with the Cavaliers and Knicks likely to also be in the mix for the 1 seed, but overall this Hawks team is going to surprise a ton of people. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Mark, and he says that Austin Reaves has more value as a trade asset for the Lakers than he does as a player for them. When the Lakers were gift-wrapped Luka Doncic last season at the trade deadline, it meant that for the foreseeable future, they are all in on being a Luka Doncic-led team. That's an amazing thing to be able to be, but that also means that they have to build a team around Luka Doncic that properly optimizes his skills and maximizes the team's potential, and in order to do that, they probably need a few different playstyles in the lineup than what they've got. The truth of the matter is that Luka may be one of the most talented offensive juggernauts in the entire league, but he's also just not a very good defender at all, especially out on the perimeter where his slowness gets targeted quite a bit. An optimal fit next to him in the backcourt needs to be a guard that can defend at a high level. Because Luka is a lot better off defending wings and big men than he is defending guards. Austin Reaves is emerging as one of the league's very best shooting guards, but he is, at best, a mediocre defender, and the higher his usage on offense gets, the more subpar his defense becomes because he's using more of his energy to make plays on the other end. Reaves is by no means a liability, but he's flawed, lacking the athleticism and agility that elite perimeter defenders need, and with the offense being built through Luka Doncic, I surprisingly don't think the original take is that crazy. Reaves would probably be best utilized on a team with a playmaking-focused floor general type of point guard so that his budding scoring talent could continue to be honed, and at full strength, it's just hard to believe that the Lakers are going to be able to get the most out of Reaves, with Luka Doncic being one of the heaviest usage players in the entire NBA, and LeBron James still being in town. You also have to take into consideration that Reaves may be on an expiring contract right now with a player option on his contract for next year, meaning that he could opt out of it and hit free agency in 2026. He's going to want to be paid handsomely, and he'll deserve to be. I'm just not sure that the Lakers will want to, or should want to, fork over that much cash to a player that doesn't complement their franchise player. If Reaves were to be made available, they would still be able to get a ton of value back for him in a trade because the team that trades for him would do so knowing they're re-signing him, and with Reaves coming off of a year where he just averaged 20 points, 6 assists, and 4.5 rebounds per game, while shooting 46% from the field and 38% from 3, he's worth a hefty offer that could net the Lakers some much-needed depth pieces in roles that they're currently lacking. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes discussed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.